This is crazy. On April 16th, the US Marine Corps released a video that initially seemed ordinary, but it quickly grabbed everyone's attention by revealing the design of its highly futuristic medium landing ship. However, the Center for Strategic and International Studies criticized the project over its soaring costs and lengthy construction timeline. So, is this a groundbreaking innovation or a costly trap? Let's dive deeper. The United States Marine Corps has unveiled a video showcasing the appearance and capabilities of its newest medium landing ship. This is no ordinary vessel. It is a program expected to transform how U.S. forces operate across island chains and coastlines that are difficult to access. Known as the McClung-Class, the ship may appear simple on the surface, but behind its modest design lies a completely new philosophy of naval warfare, one that differs significantly from previous generations of amphibious ships. What makes this vessel especially interesting is not just its size or cargo capacity, but the way it was designed to solve a long-standing problem facing the U.S. amphibious fleet. Large ships are expensive, difficult to maintain, and simply too valuable to risk in dangerous waters. The McClung-Class is intended to be a far more agile, affordable, and practical solution for the battlefields of the future. One of the smartest decisions behind this program was the choice not to design the ship from scratch. Instead, the U.S. Navy opted to adapt the LST-100 design, developed by Damen Shipyards Group, a proven platform that has already been built and operated, rather than remaining just a concept on paper. While this approach may seem straightforward, it has major advantages in terms of both production speed and cost efficiency. Think of it like building a house using a blueprint that has already been used hundreds of times and proven reliable, instead of creating an entirely new architectural design from scratch and hoping everything works as planned. By selecting a mature and proven platform, the Navy can significantly shorten the development timeline, which often stretches over many years, while also reducing the risk of the budget overruns that frequently plague next-generation warship programs. This decision also reflects a broader shift in the U.S. Navy's mindset. Rather than pursuing the most advanced and complex technology available, the service has embraced a more pragmatic approach. The priority is to deliver new capabilities to the fleet as quickly as possible, while keeping costs under control and fiscally responsible. In December 2025, Navy leaders officially approved the design as part of a major fleet modernization effort, signaling that efficiency has become a strategic priority rather than merely a budgetary talking point. At just around 100 meters in length, this ship is relatively compact by landing ship standards, but don't let its modest size fool you. Despite its relatively small dimensions, it can carry more than 800 tons of cargo in a single voyage. That payload includes combat vehicles, troops ready for deployment, logistical supplies, and long-range strike assets such as the NMESIS and HIMARS systems. Luckladiz's combination is significant because it demonstrates that the ship is not designed to be merely a passive transport vessel. Instead, it delivers offensive capabilities directly to the shoreline, serving as a mobile bridge between offshore logistics ships and forces operating on land. Its ability to land such a heavy payload directly onto beaches without port infrastructure is a capability rarely found among support ships of its class. This is where the presence of NMESIS and HIMARS aboard the ship becomes a game-changer, transforming the McClung-Class from a simple logistics carrier into a mobile strike platform. NMESIS, an anti-ship missile system designed for mobile coastal defense, requires a transport platform capable of rapidly deploying it to strategic locations before the enemy can detect its position. HIMARS, meanwhile, is widely recognized as a precision rocket artillery system traditionally associated with land operations, but it is now taking on a new role as a long-range coastal strike asset. When both systems are carried by a ship capable of landing directly on remote beaches, their greatest advantage is not only their destructive power, but also the speed and surprise of their deployment. The first advantage of this combination is deployment flexibility. Rather than waiting for access to ports or suitable docking facilities, the McClung-class can deliver NMESIS and HIMARS directly onto virtually any strategically important coastline. It can then quickly relocate to another position before the enemy has time to identify and target its previous location. This tactic is commonly known as shoot and scoot, firing and then rapidly moving, which makes coastal defense systems far more difficult to destroy than fixed installations. The second advantage lies in the deterrent effect created by a dispersed deployment network. When multiple McClung-class ships transport NMESIS and HIMARS to different islands simultaneously, an adversary faces constant uncertainty over where the next anti-ship strike might originate. This uncertainty supports a broader sea denial strategy, in which combat power is not concentrated in a single vulnerable location, but distributed across numerous smaller, mutually supporting positions. Ultimately, this combination underscores that the McClung-class is not simply about transporting cargo, it is about delivering offensive capability to the right place at the right time. With an operational range of 3,400 nautical miles, the ship is also not dependent on nearby bases. It can operate across vast stretches of the Pacific without frequently returning for refueling or resupply. This combination of long range and substantial cargo capacity makes the McClung-class a strategic logistics asset rather than just another transport ship. One feature that may seem minor in the video but carries significant implications is the ship's flight deck. It is designed to support the operation of unmanned aerial systems, or drones. In modern warfare, this capability is no longer just an optional addition. It has become a critical element for reconnaissance, situational awareness, and even precision fire support. The presence of a flight deck allows the vessel to serve as the eyes and ears of forces operating nearby, providing real-time battlefield intelligence without relying on far more expensive and riskier manned aircraft. In the vast and island-dotted Indo-Pacific region, this kind of organic reconnaissance capability can make the difference between forces that can respond rapidly and those that must wait for support from distant assets. This feature also highlights how next-generation ships are being designed with the broader combat ecosystem in mind, rather than focusing solely on the vessel's own capabilities. Drones launched from the ship's flight deck can coordinate with other military assets, creating a distributed surveillance network across multiple strategic locations. One of the most interesting points emphasized in the video is that the LST-100 is not a traditional amphibious warship built for large-scale assault operations. This distinction is essential to understanding the ship's true role within the Navy's broader fleet structure. But the McClung-class is intended to serve as a complementary asset that provides logistics support and intra-theater mobility. In other words, it functions as the backbone of operational mobility, allowing larger amphibious ships to focus on their primary missions without being burdened by short-range logistics and transport duties. Using a soccer analogy, this ship is not the striker that scores goals. It is the midfielder that controls the tempo of the game and ensures the ball reaches the right place at the right time. This role has become increasingly important as the U.S. Navy's amphibious fleet continues to face significant operational readiness challenges. A 2025 report revealed that the fleet's readiness had fallen below the level required to meet operational demands, largely due to maintenance delays and the deteriorating condition of many ships. As a result, fewer large amphibious vessels are available for immediate deployment. This is where ships like the McClung-Class provide a practical solution. Rather than waiting for larger amphibious ships to complete lengthy repairs or replacement programs, the Navy can rely on these smaller support vessels, which are less expensive, quicker to build, and more flexible in filling existing capability gaps. It represents not only a strategy for maintaining operational capacity, but also an adaptive response to resource constraints. The concept behind deploying these vessels is closely tied to a strategy known as sea denial. The idea is simple yet effective. Rather than relying on large warships to dominate the seas directly, small units are stationed at remote bases along coastlines or island chains, equipped with advanced anti-ship weapons. From these land-based positions, U.S. forces can control key maritime areas and target enemy vessels to establish a credible deterrent. In other words, any hostile ship attempting to transit or operate in these waters would face the constant risk of attack from land. Without requiring a direct confrontation with the U.S. Navy's main fleet on the open sea. Medium landing ships such as the McClung-Class are central to making this strategy work because they can rapidly and efficiently transport troops, weapons, and supplies to these remote locations. Each ship serves as a node within a much larger network, creating a dispersed web of combat power across strategic points throughout the Indo-Pacific. The video also highlights the geopolitical context behind the development of these vessels, growing tensions and strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific's coastal regions, where the United States is increasingly focused on countering China's expanding military presence. In this environment, mobility and the ability to disperse forces are considered more valuable than relying on a single, powerful fleet that is less flexible and more predictable. The McClung-Class does not operate in isolation. The video explains that these ships are intended to support an initiative known as the Golden Fleet, a broader concept centered on the proposed Trump-class warships that was announced last December. Under this vision, medium landing ships serve as a critical supporting element, complementing the primary combat fleet while ensuring mobility and logistical support across a wide range of operational scenarios. However, like most major military programs, the Golden Fleet concept has drawn criticism. Chinese analysts argue that the proposed large warships could become easier targets for modern anti-ship weapons, as their size may reduce the agility needed to evade attacks. Meanwhile, analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies have also questioned the overall viability of the concept, citing its enormous projected costs and the lengthy development timeline required to bring it to fruition. These criticisms serve as a reminder that although the McClung-Class itself is presented as an efficient and pragmatic solution, it remains part of a much larger and more controversial strategic framework. Ultimately, the effectiveness of these support vessels will depend on whether the broader Golden Fleet vision can be successfully realized, or whether it will be slowed by the same budgetary and scheduling challenges highlighted by critics. Regardless of the debate, one thing is clear: The U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Navy are actively reshaping the way they operate in an increasingly contested maritime environment. With an affordable platform, long operational range, and strong logistical capabilities, the McClung-class represents a concrete step toward a more distributed, resilient, and less predictable naval force. What do you think? Is this the right approach for the future of naval warfare? That's all for today's episode, and thanks for watching.